You are listening to Venture Beyond, Stories from Hidden Worlds. If you enjoy this episode, please leave a like down below and share with a friend. And, if you haven't already, subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode or new series and updates. Welcome back to the uncertain future of Defiant Horizon. There is an end to all things. It comes when it comes. I have seen a great cessation that will render this fragile life null. Ours is a time of death and war, held just a breath away. Her final gasp will be the world's, but just when will it come? Number 8. Faces in the Fog. 10 years ago, Union Airways Flight 665 over the Pacific Ocean. The craft shook violently for what seemed like several minutes. For a moment, it even felt like the vessel was falling. Then it continued on as if nothing had happened. Fingernails digging into the armrests of her seat, Monica hesitantly loosened her grip. Oh, that was something, she whispered to herself. She wasn't the only passenger who seemed shaken by the turbulence. A look around the cabin showed pretty much everyone else looking around with panicked eyes. One man who must have been walking in the aisle between seats picked himself up from the carpeted floor a few rows down. Monica got up and came to the man, holding out a hand. "Are you okay?" The man, with wispy gray hair just barely keeping him from outright baldness, looked over to her, confusion in his brown eyes. There was a definite red mark on his forehead. What? Monica looked up and down the aisle. Where were the flight attendants? "Are you hurt? Do you think you can stand?" she said, kneeling to meet him face to face. "I'm not sure. The man said as he raised a hand to his head. What happened? Who are you?" She looked to the nearest passenger, a woman in her early 30s with a rather pronounced underbite. "Can you hit the assistance button? We need to get him some help." The woman nodded and hurriedly pressed the button on the console above her head. The man said, "I don't know how I got here. What did you say your name was again?" "Monica. Just Monica. I need you to keep talking to me, okay?" she replied. The man nodded and groaned. Did something happen? Why does it hurt? He felt at the red mark, wincing. "You hit your head pretty hard, I think. But we're going to get you some help, okay?" Monica said, looking him over to see if there might be any other sign of injury. She really didn't know much about first aid, really just what she had seen on shows and games, so she didn't exactly trust her judgment. The man did at least seem otherwise unscathed. "Can you tell me your name?" The man seemed to think about the question for a moment, then said in a somewhat unsure tone, as if he was asking her as much as she was asking him, "Clark?" That's good, Clark. What are you going to Hashishima for?" Monica asked. She nervously looked down and up the aisle to see if any of the attendants were coming. "Oh, my daughter, she's got a job in Armstrong City on the moon. I'm going. It's on Apollo Astrovia. She's going to space. I need to. I won't see her for a while," he said in a rather confused jumble. Monica smiled. "Going to space? That's exciting. What's the job?" He held his head again. "She's... I can't..." His eyes started to droop. Monica nervously clapped her hands, which made his eyes snap back to her. What's your daughter's name? She looked to the woman from before and whispered, You did hit the button, right? The woman pressed the already lit button again and shrugged. Gina. Her name is Gina, the man said. Then he seemed to doubt himself. Wait, that's my wife's name. Her name is, Hey Clark. Sit tight, I'm going to see if I can get you some help, alright? Just try to relax. And don't fall asleep if you feel drowsy. I'll be back, Monica said as she stood and walked towards the front of the cabin. A sliding door stood close to where the flight attendants prepared refreshments. She knocked on the door, to which a hesitant feminine voice replied, Yes? Hey, we've got someone hurt back here after all that turbulence. Looks like he hit his head pretty hard. Can we get someone to help him? Monica asked. It took longer than she would have expected for the attendant to respond. Oh, sure. We'll be right there. Monica frowned at the door. Something felt wrong, but she was probably just reading too much into it. Maybe they were just as shaken up, or one of them had gotten hurt too. She turned back to sit with the man until someone came. Present day. Above Hashishima Police Department Headquarters, Core Island, Hashishima City, Hashishima. Friday, August 10th, 2035. Monica tapped her hollow earbud and said, Ayaka, what did you dig up on my new partner? What do we know about him? Detective Terry Edmund Cross appears to have a promising record. Born to Thomas and Annabelle Cross in Boston, New British Union. His father was a beat cop for 15 years. Ended up moving to New York City, New British Union, when Terry was 10, to join the New York City Police Department. Terry graduated salutatorian from General Roosevelt High School. Shortly after, his father was killed in a hit-and-run shooting. He joined the Union Marines, 3rd Infantry Division, and served for 5 years. Honorably discharged as Sergeant First Class. I'm currently working on decrypting his service record in the Marines. Went to Franklin University, first for literature, then switched to criminal justice. He completed his coursework in only 3 years. Went straight to New York City Police Academy, graduated top of his class. Worked as a beat cop for 3 years. Then it looks like he took part in some kind of redacted operation that I have been unable to decrypt so far. Afterwards, he was promoted to detective investigator and has been working in the homicide department for the last 3 years. Just before he came to Hashishima, it looks like he took part in some kind of undercover operation, but the details are somewhat scarce on that at the moment, Ayaka said as the VTOL started to descend to one of the landing pads at the Hashishima Police HQ. She considered for a moment. What do we have outside of his career? Ayaka took a moment to respond, likely processing her findings. He appears to be a thoughtful and meticulous individual, even in his personal life. Credit records show he never misses a payment for loans or bills, pays his taxes on time. Communication records indicate he calls his mother every night at the same time. His landlady often posts on Current about how he helps with work around the apartment building, even thwarted an attempted robbery on her last year. From what I can tell from Current posts from his colleagues, he meets with co-workers almost every Friday night for drinks at the Sword and Shield pub. He does not appear to be an active poster on Current himself. In fact, his last post was from just before he joined the Marines. No evidence that he uses any alternative social media. I believe the colloquial term for him would be a Boy Scout. Would you agree? Sure, but something seems off. His record seems too good, too clean. But he doesn't even have a speeding ticket, Monica sighed, rubbing her eyes. While the coffee had helped, her all-nighter was really starting to wear on her. He does not, you are correct. Do you think his record has been scrubbed, or is a forgery? Ayaka asked in her too perfect, near emotionless voice. Monica shrugged. Honestly, I don't know right now. But something just doesn't feel right. How could he have known not just where to get my coffee, but how? I don't buy his story about searching current. He would have ended up at Murphy's on 32nd or Kona House. Both of them are much higher profile, legendary in the city. Not to mention they've bought priority on search algorithms. Murphy's is even the unofficial coffee shop of the Hashishima police force. They post about it all the time. The only people who find Tachibana are those who stumble upon it, or are brought there by a friend. She scoffed. I'm guessing how I like it based on my reports? Really? It does seem unlikely, but are you sure this isn't a simple case of mistrust of strangers? Besides, he was sent by Amanda Marshall, someone you have only recently started working with, Ayaka said as the craft settled down on the landing pad. You're probably right, she replied, sighing. Ayaka was getting a bit too good at reading her now, which was both promising and terrifying. Monica stepped off the VTOL, ducking under the pulsing gravitytrons as she strode towards the elevator. Ayaka paused for a moment, then said, Monica, if I might ask, why would you not have me investigate Amanda also? Monica shrugged. What would be the point? Would you not want to know more about someone you're in such a critical arrangement with? Ayaka said slowly. Laughing, Monica shook her head. Really, Ayaka? The Princess of Hashishima? The most famous woman in the city, if not the world? If anyone's a known value, I think the head of the most powerful corporation in the world is. Famous or not, everyone has secrets. You taught me to never make assumptions, Ayaka said. Fair point, I'll give you that. Monica replied with a smirk as she reached the elevator and punched in floor 22 for the infirmary level. You're probably right. We probably should look into her. But I feel like I can trust her. Even if we're still ironing out how all of this works, I at least know I can believe her when she says she wants to find the kitsune. Everything else, we'll see. I know she's hiding something, but my instincts say it's irrelevant to our purposes. I think I understand. I believe that we can trust her as well. 79.6% confidence conjecture, Ayaka said. The tone in her simulated voice seemed contemplative, thoughtful. Monica stepped off the elevator and into a pristine, white, metal-paneled hallway. A red heart painted next to the shield of the Hashishima police force on the wall opposite of the elevator doors. The sting of sanitizer and cleaners prickled her nose. And did we have anything on the witness? No. The witness's name has not yet been registered in the active case file on the investigation's intranet, Ayaka replied quickly. Strange. Alright, let's see what I can get. Keep digging. I want to know specifics about Detective Cross's service record, especially those operations he was a part of, Monica said as she turned to her right and started walking down the hallway. Understood, Ayaka said simply in response. Monica kept walking until she saw a door marked with a green 17. The green color of the holo sign indicated that the patient inside was a civilian. Red would have signified that a suspect was inside, whereas blue was for cops and first responders. Thankfully, as she had walked down the hallway, she hadn't seen too many of the room numbers lit up at all, but there was more blue than she would have liked. Sure enough, a middle-aged man with short blonde hair sat in the hospital bed inside. Everything about him seemed average. Average height, average weight, average build. She probably could have passed him on the street 100 times and never would have noticed him. He looked over to her as she entered and seemed to recoil somewhat. Lieutenant Chichinose, Hashishima Police, but please just call me Monica, she said, extracting her badge from her pocket and holding it where he could see it for a moment. He did not answer right away. In fact, he just looked her over, hesitant eyes taking in every detail of her face. Was he trying to decide if he could trust her? Could you tell me your name? She asked, taking a seat in the cheap fold-up chair next to the bed. It embarrassingly squeaked under her weight, which truly felt like an uncalled for insult. The man watched her sit, then spoke in a low voice she could only barely hear. "Egon." "Thank you for telling me, Egon." Monica leaned in to try and hear better, which made the man recoil, raising his hands to his head as if to shield it, so she leaned back to try and keep him comfortable. He thankfully relaxed somewhat. "I was wondering if I could ask you about what happened." "The Crimson Tengu," he said simply. Egon looked away towards the window to the room. "He let me live." "Did he talk to you?" Monica asked. She realized she hadn't been recording and set a holographic camera on her shoulder to document. Egon looked back to her, nodding slowly. Then he spoke up in a kind of dramatic flair. "Do you know how a man kills a Hydra?" "That's... He said that to you? Is that what he sounded like?" Monica leaned forward in spite of herself. He nodded slowly in response. She hadn't heard the Crimson Tengu speaking to anyone before, but he did always leave one person alive in his attacks. "What else did he say?" "Cut off the heads and sear the stumps one by one, or starve it," Egon said in the same way. "He said I had an important job to do." "What was it?" Monica asked. He groaned and grabbed at his head. "He'll kill them all of them dead. He's after them all. He killed them himself. He killed everyone himself. He'll do it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. He can't be stopped. He can't be killed. 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 Can't be killed." "Back to this," Monica heard behind her. She whipped her head around to see an overweight woman with curly gray hair wearing pink nurse's scrubs walk in. Egon kept repeating himself over and over again in his whisper of a voice. Monica stood from her chair and backed away from the man. "I'm sorry, Just get out of here. We finally got him calmed down. He's back to this. He needs time to recover," the nurse said as she typed away at a holo display next to the bed. "But we need to hear what happened while it's still fresh. He's the only witness we have," Monica said. The nurse scoffed, swiping her ID on the holo display. A beep came from the IV station, and after a moment, the man slumped into the bed. "Well, he's not going to be able to tell you much like that. Let him come to his senses and have time to process what just happened. We'll be able to get more out of him then." Monica sighed and nodded. You're right, I'm sorry." She rubbed her eyes again. "Hell, you look terrible. When's the last time you got some sleep?" the nurse said, glancing at her while typing away. "Somehow much too long ago and much too recent. I just don't have the time," Monica said, starting to step out of the room. A tug on her shoulder stopped her, though. It was the nurse, who looked at her with all the seriousness of a mother scolding a child who had done something wrong. It was quite intimidating, even given the woman's slight height disadvantage. "Think you're a tough girl, huh? Think you can take it if you just keep pushing?" "What's your Monica started. "My problem? Overachievers and lunatics like you who burn the candle at both ends and end up in my infirmary sick, hurt, or even dying when they could have just gotten some sleep instead. Whether it's stress, sickness, or getting into a totally preventable accident. I've seen it more times than I can count." She jabbed a thick finger into Monica's left shoulder. "And if you'd like to be out of action for a really long time, possibly even permanently, keep doing what you're doing. Otherwise, get some sleep tonight for a change." "I beg your pardon, don't give me that crap. Believe me, even in the infirmary, we all know about you, Lieutenant. I don't care what good you think you're doing by not sleeping, but you'll do even more with sleep." The nurse gave her a hard look, one that made it feel unwise to further challenge. Monica bowed her head. I understand. Good. If I see you like this again, I'll put you in one of these beds myself. Have I made myself clear?" the nurse asked, pointing a finger around to the other rooms in the hallway. Yes, ma'am, she replied, her cheeks burning in embarrassment. The nurse nodded approvingly. Sorry, sweetheart, but sometimes you cops need a hot ass to get you to wake up and see your own unhealthy habits. Same with doctors. Honestly, the worst patients I've ever had were cops and doctors. And I deal with crooks, murderers, and hoodlums all day. Monica just nodded, trying to think about what little she had gotten from Egon. Has he said anything else about the incident? Honey, he's barely said a sentence that made sense. We're talking acute stress disorder here. He needs time to decompress before he'll really be able to tell you anything, the nurse said, looking back at the man sleeping on the bed. He seemed so peaceful in the smooth, white metal paneled room. If he does say something, I need to know, Monica said, yawning as if to further accentuate the nurse's point. You know everything is recorded in these rooms, right? There's a full range of cameras in each one that record around the clock, if someone is in them. That way, if they say something that could be used in evidence or something happens to them, it's documented. The nurse pointed around inside the room. She even pulled up a holo display split into 4 different views in the room and waved her hand inside to show that it was a live feed. Sure enough, there it was on 2 that had a view of the entrance. The shot directly above and from the front of the bed were not quite in range to catch the hand. That's incredibly helpful. I'll have to go through the footage so far, see if he said anything that might be useful. Monica opened a holo panel and tapped into the infirmary surveillance network so she could find it later. Could I be notified when he's ready for questioning? Of course. I'll make a note for you, the nurse said, typing on her holo display. What's your name? Monica asked. She smiled. Wanda Warren, head shift nurse. Now go get some rest. Wanda gave Monica a playful punch on her left arm, but as the loose fist met her forearm, it passed through without ever making contact. What the? Monica slid backwards and laughed nervously. Quick reflexes and all. I've got to run. And she quickly made her way back to the elevator. Once she was inside and the door closed, she looked at her left arm. Not now. I don't have time for this. It looked normal. Perhaps she had been mistaken. She tapped the button for the ground floor with her left hand, hesitant to test it, but it worked, and the elevator started moving. Monica felt at her left arm. It felt normal. Skin, jacket sleeve, blouse sleeve, bones underneath the skin, muscles. Sighing in relief, she let it hang normally at her side. Now she was imagining things. Monica really did need to get some sleep. Special thanks to Fulfill Your Destiny for being a paid subscriber on Substack. Your contribution makes this show possible, and I cannot thank you enough for your support. If you would like to be featured in the show's special thanks, as well as other perks, please check out my Substack link in my Linktree. Words cannot express how much I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to see what I've been working on, and I truly hope to see you again soon. Until next time, good fortune, good health, and good day.